Coming up on First at 4, President Biden addresses the ongoing conflict in Israel. And the administrator of the Rural Utilities Service tours eastern Kentucky to survey last year's flood damage.
Plus, we are tracking warmer weather this week before some chilly air by this weekend. Those details on the way as Mountain News First at 4 starts now.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, the latest Israel-Palestinian war is reverberating around the world. Numerous countries have also offered to play a role in mediating an end to the fighting, which has already killed at least 1,800 people. This is the fourth day of the conflict, and Israel's military says it has regained effective control over its south and the border. President Biden addressed the situation this afternoon from the perspective of the United States.
Hamas does not stand for the Palestinian people's right to dignity and self-determination. Its stated purpose is the annihilation of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. They use Palestinian civilians as human shields.
President Biden also reiterated the U.S. support for Israel and continued to offer aid to the country. He said while hearts are broken, America's resolve is clear, and the U.S. has Israel's back. The death toll is expected to grow as Israel pummels the Gaza Strip with airstrikes and blockaded the densely populated Palestinian territory. The war began after Hamas militants stormed into Israel on Saturday, bringing gun battles to the country's streets for the first time in decades. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing continued retaliation for the attacks.
We'll exact a price that will be remembered by them and Israel's other enemies for decades to come.
On Israel's northern border with Lebanon, there have also been deadly exchanges of artillery fire with the Hezbollah militant group. A senior American defense official says the U.S. is deeply concerned about the possibility of that becoming a second front in this conflict. Well, yesterday we shared with you that Alan Dodson, a well-known pastor who lives in Somerset, was trying to get out of Israel, and today we learned he is out. He made it to Amman, Jordan earlier today and expects to be in the United States by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. In an interview with WYMT today before he left Jordan, Dodson says he cannot thank the Commonwealth enough for the continued prayers, describing the last few days in Israel as ominous.
You know, there's constant Israeli aircraft presence monitoring from above, and then hearing what they call the Iron Dome, which is their defense system that shoots down incoming rockets. Through the evenings, we just heard that in action literally each night since it broke out on Saturday morning.
WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have much more from Alan Dodson coming up tonight at 6. Today we are also hearing again from Alan Williams, a reporter from our sister station in Knoxville, Tennessee. Alan reports this time from Nazareth, Israel.
Hi everyone, Alan Williams here, coming to you this time from the biblical city of Nazareth. We packed up early this morning for the 2-hour trip here to really get out of harm's way and to maybe see some sights along the way as we made it here. This is around 2 hours north of Jerusalem. Now, we made it here, but we saw a lot of sirens. We now hear some jets that are flying by, but this is considered really out of harm's way. And if you see my face, you might not see as many lines of stress as you did before. But today we are here. We're going to be here for a couple of days as well. And I know for family and friends wanting to know about the situation, about your loved ones and friends getting home, it's not very easy. It's difficult because not a lot of flights are leaving, and Tel Aviv might open up next week. So it would at least be at a minimum next Tuesday before any flights can get out of here. And they're not going to go directly to the United States. You'll probably be diverted to a European city and then coming back to Atlanta or another city. So that's an update here from Nazareth, the biblical city. And like I said, I'm happy to be doing this today because there's a lot of stress taken off a lot of us, and we feel pretty comfortable right now, but we'll see how the days progress. I'm Alan Williams from the city of Nazareth for WVLT News.
Well, people around the world are watching the conflict in Israel. Hundreds took part in a march in Argentina yesterday in support of Israel. The march was led by the country's leading Jewish organizations and was a chance for people who live there to show solidarity for the country. Argentina has the largest Jewish community in Latin America. Their defense ministry has established an emergency operation to get more than 600 Argentines home from Israel as soon as possible.
Well, after some gloomy and soggy weather to kick off the work week on Monday, we are tracking some awesome weather as we go into this afternoon, also into this evening. Here's a live look over in Buffalo Mountain right now. You can see plenty of blue sky, that temperature up to 68 degrees, so not too far away from average for this time of year. And most of us right now in the upper 60s and lower 70s, up to 69 for Jackson, 70 for Somerset, also Monticello, and 72 for Harlan, also Jonesville at this hour. And up on the radar, a clean sweep as high pressure is the big story on Tuesday. But as we zoom out, you can see that front that brought the showers on Monday is now off to the south, but that will kind of stick around for a few days and then lift off to the north as a warm front. So what does that mean? That means some warmer air is on the way by Thursday, also Friday. We could see some possibly lower 80s by Friday, so we are well above average to close out the work week. Our next rain chance by this weekend, not looking too great for that partial solar eclipse on Saturday, as more showers and clouds are likely on Saturday, also Sunday, and more rain chances into early next week as some cooler air begins to work into the region. So a busy forecast on the way. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. One federal administrator is touring eastern Kentucky today, talking to folks about recovering from flood damage. Rural Utility Service Administrator Andy Burke had meetings in Breathitt and Knott counties this morning and is traveling to other counties this afternoon. Community leaders and philanthropists join conversations about housing, water lines, and other issues. Burke says the federal government still wants to help eastern Kentucky.
The president is still focused on this, but we do know that there are certain things that have to happen at the local level, because at the federal level, we don't want to come in and say you have to do things this way. We want a way to make sure that we're abiding by what the locals think.
The conversations included projects in the works like the Higher Ground and Housing Can't Wait projects planned by state leaders and other organizations. We will have much more on the tour tonight at 6. Coming up on First at 4, several new sports are being considered for the 2028 Olympics on the West Coast.
Plus, we stay dry for this evening, but rain chances are looming. Your forecast coming up after this break.